Hello there, welcome back to another week of shows. This week, there's still Japanese themed films, not as much though. I couldn't quite top last week for the amount of Japanese themed films, but this week I've got China and Japan, but I've also got a wide range of other stuff. I'm going to start off with a silly video, which is about the top 10 forgettable films. I thought, I'm going to say last but then a top 10 is like, I don't like doing top 10s in anything serious. I'd rather do top 10s in something stupid, because that makes it more fun for me, or something there's a challenge involved. I mean, there's one's been suggested to be by Solitary One I'll do next, which I thought was a quite a good one, but you have to wait and find out what it was. I'm sure he'll have to wait and find out what it was as well, because he's probably forgotten. But this one is top 10 forgettable films. Now, there's lots of forgettable films released every year. They're the most boring things ever. I mean, I don't mind bad films. I prefer good films, but bad films I'd take over forgettable middle-of-the-road films. Middle-of-the-road films are the worst, because they just drain your energy and they just destroy your willpower, and you just feel like, why did I waste my time in this garbage? Forgettable films are just the worst. And what's even worse is when it's forgettable films made by people with talent. And some of these films are well-made films, but compared to the other directors' other films, or the talent involved, they should be better than they are. And that's why they're on the list. They're films that are made by directors who just are usually more distinctive, and it's like, and these are usually the films in their careers like, yeah, he did make that, didn't he? You know, it's that kind of thing. It's like the distinctive becoming boring. So that's what this list is. I've thrown out forgettable films made by mediocre directors, because that's cheating. That's cheating. It has to be either a good director or a director who's shown talent in the past. So that's why they're on the list. Okay, at number 10 is John Carpenter with Memoirs of an Invisible Man. Now, this is a film made in the early 90s. Stars Chevy Chase, which is not a good start, to be honest. It was Carpenter's return to the big time after the flop of Big Trouble in Little China. It made Prince of Darkness and They Live in the meantime, two terrific films. But then he got a chance to come back and make Memoirs of an Invisible Man, which is a well-made film, but it's almost like the point where you see Carpenter's career just take a dive. Because until then he was doing really good. And after this he followed this up with In the Mouth of Madness, which is also a terrific film. Then after that his career started to really falter, but this was kind of when the rot set in. So obviously that's why it's on the list, because it's forgettable. It does have a very enjoyable performance by Sam Neill as the villain. He's just very amused, he's very smarmy, he's doing the full James Mason impersonation. He's having a lot of fun, and that's the only memorable thing in that film is him, is Sam Neill in it. But even then, Sam Neill would do a lot better in The Mouth of Madness like a few years later. So it's not even like it's the best John Carpenter performance. Chevy Chase is Chevy Chase, and the idea of him an invisible man, but he was invisible even before he became invisible, just because he didn't have any connections, was a good idea. It just needed a different lead man. It needed a lead man who could actually romance a leading lady. Daryl Hannah's leading lady in this one, she's fine, but she has no chemistry with Chevy Chase, which really hurts the film. And Chevy Chase doesn't have any chemistry with anybody. I mean, he's the big problem with the film, is he's one of the producers, so he's the one that shifted the film through years of production hell, just development hell, then finally get it through. And John Carpenter came in and put it together, and I don't think he left the best terms with Chase. And it is forgettable. It has been blended out by the studio, so no matter what Carpenter does with funny ideas like this building that becomes half invisible, half visible, it's a very kind of John Carpenter's idea of, which becomes overdone in the execution. No matter what he puts in, any little details Carpenter puts in, they're made too broad for the film. So whenever the film's like a suspense movie, it works a lot better, because you feel when the Carpenter was really into that. When it's a comedy, he doesn't have a partner who's up to the idea. I mean, this film really needs Kurt Russell. You know, it really needs that kind of energy that can be serious and be funny. And Chevy Chase can only be funny. So that's why that's at number 10. Right, I'm looking at the thing here, so you'll see me turn and look. I know what they are, but I don't know the order, can't remember the order. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Kevin Reynolds directed this one. Kevin Reynolds did a lot of good films before and after. He did Fandango as his debut, which is really good. He'd been to Beast, which is very underrated. So he's come off those two big films that did not perform. He made film, well, they weren't big, they were studio films. For studios they were throwaways. But they were studio films. They weren't indie films. But he made these films. One was about these graduates trying to find out what they were going to do with their lives. And then there was one of the Beast set in Russia. Or set in Russians in Afghanistan. He'd done these really well made films that nobody cared about. So he's given a chance to make Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. And it was apparently a complete nightmare. Because he was friends with Kevin Costner and helped Costner with Dancing with Wolves. He was brought in to entice Costner. And Costner was a star of Fandango before Costner became big. But they wanted Costner to be, you know, the movie star thing, and they gave Costner all the power. And apparently Kevin Reynolds was not they're not given it proper respect. As from what I've read, is where it was, and there was a lot of issues. And no one was quite sure what the film was going to be. And the film became this hodgepodge of fun moments, but a kind of blandness at the centre that just never went away when you're watching it. It was like, because for start, Costner was not a good Robin Hood. That was the worst thing. Then you had people like Christian Slater as well, Scarlett, who was terrible casting. Morgan Freeman was in it as well as a Moore. He was okay, but it was still kind of forgettable. It wasn't distinctive. I was taken from Robin Sherwood TV show. The idea of someone from the wars coming back, someone from the other side, and it was just bland. I mean, they had a lot of good cast. I mean, the best person in it was Alan Rickman as a villain. He was doing a pantomime version of a performance, and there were some nice visual cues that were very influenced by Sam Raimi, and you could tell Kevin Reynolds was trying to put some life visually into this studio film. And it was never working. It was just always been blinded out by the studio's desire to have a hit. And a miscast leading man. And a script that wasn't quite there and needed to be changed, but the right up to the producers, so you couldn't change the script to make it work right. And it was just this hodgepodge that was enjoyable to watch, but was actually fairly dull and fairly forgettable. So that one was a big hit. But it wasn't very good. It was very, very forgettable. Reynolds went on to do a variety of films, some good, some not so good, but I mean, he did Count of Monte Cristo, which was good fun. He did Waterworld, which was a notorious film that I'll eventually get to, Fitness One Video. He did Rapa Nui, which was a wonderful disaster. That's one I need to get to as well. But he's done a career which I really like, but he's very bitty director. There were some wonderful bits of work in there, but he never got momentum he really should have got. And this was the start of the fall, because this was a film where it was obvious his sensibility and Stuart's sensibility would never quite match up. So now we'll get Hook as number 8. Hook is the Spielberg film from the early 90s. A lot of these films are from the early 90s. And Hook is Spielberg at his most blandest. This was a Spielberg film that Spielberg can't stand apparently. Apparently he hates this film. It's like, even he thinks it was bland and didn't work. And the idea was Peter Pan grows up, and the story is Peter Pan never grows up. So that somebody had the idea of Peter Pan movie where Peter Pan grows up, what would happen. Now it's a terrible idea, but if you had someone who have an inspired view of what to do with it, to really make it fascinating, it could have worked if you had a really good writer doing it. This film didn't. This film had a bland script that had nothing there that was of any interest. Peter Pan growing up is just boring. He's a boring character played by Robin Williams, who cannot do anything with this. I mean, I've never seen an actor so straitjacketed by a part. He's trying his best, but there's nothing he can do. Dustin Hoffman is Hook, Captain Hook. He's fun, he's like camping it up. You know, he's the most enjoyable part of the film because he's the only one who knows the film played in his head, probably better than the film you're watching. And Spielberg seems to be flummoxed by the whole idea of Peter Pan. He just seems to have been stuck. The sets are over-designed and very setty. They don't even hide that. A lot of money was spent on it, but nothing really comes together in the film. But it's one of those films that people seem to like, even though, because they probably saw it as kids on TV and they have sentimental views to it, but it's not a good film. It's really not a good film. It's one of those ones you should really watch closely and see, this doesn't work at all. There's no ideas in this film at all. All the Lost Boys in it are annoying. Julia Roberts as Tinkerbell and she looks like she doesn't have a clue what film she's in and she wants to be anywhere but there. You know, which means she's the audience surrogate for a certain type of audience. You know, it's just bland, but it's the blandest film Spielberg's ever made. I mean, Spielberg gets crap by a lot of people nowadays. But this was him at his peak, and he just, and this was maybe a no-brainer film, and he just had no clue what to do with it, and it just never worked. And it was one of those films that made everyone think he's lost his touch. And he came back with Jurassic Park, so obviously this film motivated him to do something good, because he followed that Jurassic Park, then Schindler's List. So obviously that's the thing that motivated him to actually deliver. But it's not a good film, like at all. Now we have Dick Tracy #7. Dick Tracy is the Warren Beatty opus from 1990 that got lots of hype, and can anyone remember it? Now the thing with this film is it has beautiful production design. The production design is wonderful. It's all primary colours. It looks great. You have Al Pacino as a villain, Big Boy Caprice, and he's great in it. He's so much fun. The only thing I remember of this film is Pacino, but Pacino's done over the top so often since then that it's, you know, it no longer has the kind of uniqueness that it had before. And you have Dick Tracy, played by Warren Beatty. That's a boring character, and Beatty can't do anything with it. Even though he's the director, he cannot find anything interesting. Plus, he can't play sincere. Like, Dick Tracy had to be sincere, and he plays it as just an older guy who's very awkward. He's miscast himself in the part. You need a sincere person playing this part for this thing to have a chance of working. You need a script that actually has some motivation. And this one just has a dull script. And it also has Madonna as the femme fatale, and she's terrible. And all of this, good and bad, leads to this film that's very forgettable. It was released a year after Tim Burton's Batman. And it's the one film of that era there were good films after Batman and bad films from comic book era. Because the 90s were very weird for comic book films. But there've never been anything as bland as this. I mean, say you will about Joel Schumacher films, the Batman films, at least they were memorable, sometimes the wrong way. At least they were memorably camp. This film is just bland. But yeah, I watch it every so often even though I know it's not good. And it's like, it's very annoying because I should know better. So now we have Charlie and Chocolate Factory at #6. This is Tim Burton's film. It's not good. It's kind of the epitome of Tim Burton at his blandest. Tim Burton started off so well with the Batman films with all these wonderful films, and then I think pretty much after Mars Attacks for me is where it went wrong and the films became bitty. There's some films I like, some I don't, but it became a case of a toss of a coin whether it would work or not because he seemed to lose quality control. And my view of it is he stopped working with interesting writers. Before that he was working with people like Daniel Waters and eccentric writers who could push him into weird areas. And then after that, I started working with writers who were a bit more conventional. I think the idea was try and straighten out the narrative for him because he wasn't good at it. And he would keep with the visuals. And it never really worked. And this is the film where it really didn't work the most. In a case of it became bland. No matter how weird he tried to go. I mean, there's been worse films. I mean, Alice in Wonderland's a worse film. But it's a bad film. It's not forgettable, it's a bad film. This one's the bland one because Johnny Depp gave him a weird performance, but it seems boring. It seems like, yeah, I've seen him be weird before. It's the first Johnny Depp performance that he's been trying to be weird, and he just comes across as not annoying, but just meh, meh. And the whole film's like that. The whole film's like meh. Everything Tim Burton throws at you, like one actor playing all the Oompa Loompas, Deep Roy, not interesting. All the human characters, not interesting. Anything that happens, not interesting. It's just like he doesn't have a clue how to make it interesting. He just doesn't have a clue. Like, he cannot connect this character at all, any of the characters. He can't connect with the human characters, he can't really connect with the Johnny Depp Willy Wonka character. He just does forgettable blandness at the centre of what should be a home run, because Tim Burton and Roald Dahl should be a home run, but it's not. But then you see what Wes Anderson did with Fantastic Mr. Fox. He did it terrifically. So it's not like Roald Dahl's a problem to do. Just this film, Tim Burton did not have a good script, did not have any good ideas, and it was just forgettable. You see and you've forgotten it already. It's just like, it just leaves your brain like instantly. Okay, going to number 5 now. I think it's 5. Yep. 5. I was checking it. It's Small Soldiers, Joe Dante. That's another case of a really good director being bland. This is probably the least offensive film on this list. This is the blandest. And that's why it's in the middle of the list. Because it's the blandest of these films. And Joe Dante usually is not bland. He's lots of other things, but bland is not one of them. He tends to make distinctive films. Except for this one. And he has a good cast. Kirsten Dunst is the female lead. Tommy Lee Jones is one of the voice actors. There's a good idea where the toys come to life, and you've got the pacific toys, and you've got the military toys, and you've got artificial intelligence, and it should be fun. It should be an enjoyable film. And it's not. It's boring. It's just dull. And it's like, well, what happened? Because, I mean, before and after this, Joe Dante was doing some interesting films. He made Gremlins 2, which is one of the great sequel send-ups. I mean, he did The Burbs and Matinee. He was coming off a run of really good films. And he was going to go on and do Looney Tunes and stuff like that. And he's always an interesting director. But this one, in the middle of it, it was a DreamWorks film when DreamWorks was just starting. And it feels like there was a lot of studio interference. I felt like everyone was telling him what to do, but this film just is so boring and so bland, and you can't remember anything you've seen of it. And that's really weird for a Joe Dante film, because he tends to make distinctive films. He tends to make films he wants to see, and sometimes it has something to miss for the audiences, but they're always Joe Dante films. And this one, it's just a big nothing, and it's like, it's really strange. So that's number 5. That's what can you say about it? It's the blandest of the bland. Now number 4 is Absolute Power. This is Clint Eastwood's film, made in the post-Unforgiven period, before he was started to just direct rather than act and direct. And I bring this one up because it's the epitome of Clint Eastwood at his most dullest and bored, when he doesn't care about his product. The other ones are probably even more forgettable. I haven't seen them. This one put me off after that, and I was like, I'll wait till he does something he seems to care about. This one is based on a novel that apparently was really good. William Goldman wrote it. Clint Eastwood's in it. And the reason I bring this one up as well is because this is a film that infamously took the big twist of a big novel and threw it out. Because in the novel, apparently, the Clint Eastwood character dies halfway through, and his daughter's character, played by Laura Linney, to actually take over and work out what happened. And they threw the twist out, which I don't get. That would have been a great twist. That would have made the film. And they threw it out. They just threw it out entirely. And what they had was this film where it was kind of boring. The first half of Clint Eastwood plays this thief who breaks into the White House and finds the president murdering somebody, which is a fun, tacky idea. With Gene Hackman playing the president, it's a tacky film, but if they'd gone and killed Clint Eastwood off, it could have been a lot of fun. Instead, they don't, and you have a second half where you get bored to tears of all these good actors doubling up and playing scenes that have no momentum. It's just a boring film that throughout, it took something wonderfully trashy, the president killed someone in the White House, and made it really dull. And Clint Eastwood was the guy behind it, and he stayed in it, and he was the actor and director. And it was just a epitome of someone who did not want to be there. It took something that should have been fun, should have been a fun B-movie, and made it nothing. And that's what was wrong with Clint Eastwood after Unforgiven. He took himself too seriously and created these films that were big nothings. And he hasn't really recovered. He's been making films since then, and you get an odd good one, but a lot of the time it's like, why am I watching this? So, there you go, that's number 4. Number 3 is Cobra Verde by Werner Herzog. You know, it's weird having a Herzog film on this list, especially a Klaus Kinski one. And the reason I'm putting it on is because it's still a good film. But here's what happens when you've come off a run of great films in the 70s like Herzog did. Herzog did all these great films in the 70s. Some of them starred Kinski, some of them didn't. But he was like non-stop, from Aguirre Wrath of God to Fitzgeraldo, he was knocking out the park. It's like, you look at the box sets, it's like masterpiece after masterpiece after masterpiece. And then there's Cobra Verde, which is a good film. But after all those great films, this one looks bland. And that's why I'm bringing it up. It's, you know, this is the best film on this list. By a mile. This is a really good film. But it came after a great run. And that's why it's forgettable. It's this Herzog film that has Klaus Kinski that everyone forgets. It's a Herzog film just after his big run that people tend to forget. It's like, oh yeah, he did make another film after Fitzgeraldo. And that's why it's on the list. It's not as a bad film, it's a good film. It's a really good film. But it's a film where you could sense the engine, the Herzog Kinski engine had kind of fallen away a little bit. And Herzog was, I think, in the 80s, he was readjusting to, he started going to documentaries a bit more. And I think he was just reworking himself to find out what, he was going to go from the Kinski the Herzog of the 70s to what would be in the rest of his career. Which was not the firebrand, it was just someone who was mixing documentaries and fiction in different films and doing his own thing and being his own person and being not tied to Kinski in any way and living less the firebrand. So this was kind of film was in between. So that's an interesting film because it's a film made by someone who was changing slightly what kind of director they were. Even though the internal process was probably similar, it was going to a different stage of his career, and this one is kind of in the middle there. He hasn't quite moved over yet. So that's why I bring it up. But it's still the best film on this list. But like, by a mile, it's the best film on the list. But I wanted to put something good like that on to show you how the perspective of it, forgettable, can mean lots of different things. Number 2 is The Aviator, Scorsese's Aviator. This is another one where it's not a bad film. I enjoyed The Aviator. It's probably my favourite of the Scorsese DiCaprio films actually. So I didn't want to bring one of them up because I'm not a big fan of these films. I didn't want to bring one up and just trash it. I thought I'd choose the one that I like the most. But it's there because it's a sign of a director who has got a bit better recently, apart from The Irishman for me. But this was when he just seemed to lose his way for a while and make all these like DiCaprio vehicles basically. And it was like, why are you making this? This was originally a Michael Mann film. And it feels like a Michael Mann film without Michael Mann. So Scorsese feels like a director for hire on another auteur's film. Which is interesting to think, you can see a lot of things being done that would have worked in a Michael Mann film that don't work in a Scorsese film. And you get the sense that DiCaprio hasn't been pushed as far as he should have been to be this obsessive. He's playing Howard Hughes as a massive obsessive, playing a younger version of him, and he never quite pulls it off, but it's not a bad performance either. He just never quite gets into the nitty gritty of the mania. And all the other actors are good, but no one's distinctive. Everyone's good in the film, but no one's great, and it becomes very forgettable. And it's like, yeah, I saw that film, and it's the first film that Scorsese made that was kind of forgettable. Because he made Gangs of New York, which was a disaster. I mean, it wasn't forgettable though. You remember Gangs of New York for how weird it is. It was a disaster, but it was weird. Aviator was like, yeah, I saw that. What was it about? Howard Hughes. What was it about specifically? Because it's about mania. And you got a director who couldn't at that point pull off mania. I mean, they couldn't push the actor to pull off mania, so it became this bland film. And it was a hell of a lot better than some of the one stuff that followed, but it's still a film that should be better than it is. So that's again why it's forgettable. You know, again, there's whole different ways why someone's forgettable. And number one, I actually thought, if I'm going to do a number one, I have to choose a film by a director I adore, because it's only fair. So I'm choosing Obsession because it's directed by Brian De Palma and it's written by Paul Schrader, and it's a remake, a loose remake of Vertigo, and it's forgettable. It's completely forgettable. It's one of the most forgettable films in De Palma's career. It's one of the most forgettable films in Schrader's career, and partially because it's such a remake of Vertigo, they don't quite go as far as they need to. And according to Schrader, it's De Palma's fault because De Palma pulled out the third act, which was much longer and much more weirder. According to De Palma, the third act didn't work, but also according to De Palma, the leading man didn't work. And that's a big problem with the film, is Cliff Robertson as a lead does not work. Genevieve Bujold plays the female lead and she's great, but a leading man does not work. If John Lithgow is a villain as well and he's fun, but the leading man performance is so boring, it drags everything down. No matter how much stuff they throw at the screen, they can't do anything with it because they try to visualise something and make it obsessive and unique, and you have a leading man who doesn't have any obsession in them. So that's a film that also shows that no matter how much you throw at something, because you've got a Bernard Herrmann score as well, who scored Vertigo too. No matter how much you throw at the screen, if you don't have that lead performance right, it will sink the film. And this film did not have the lead performance right. He was just terrible, and it made it really forgettable. This should have been a fun, trashy Vertigo remix. That's what it should have been, with nice, pretentious photography. Because they did all that stuff, but it just had a leading man who just couldn't pull it off. And that's one of the more frustrating, forgettable films, because there was a lot there. Because you had De Palma just after Phantom of the Paradise, just before Carrie. You had Schrader just after Taxi Driver, and well into his mix, just going towards blue collar in his directing career. You had all these people who were about to break out and who'd done some good stuff about breaking out even being bigger. In this film, we've one really important category that sunk it and pulled out all the energy. Because Cliff Robertson pulls out all the energy from the film. Every time they try and get anything going, he pulls it out. And I kind of see why De Palma probably pulled the ending out, because I think with the Cliff Robertson energy, probably something that would have worked if he had a more energetic actor might not have worked because he was the actor. So, who knows? But that's my number one forgettable film, is Obsession. I thought it's just fair to choose one of my favourite directors for one of my favourite writers to be the forgettable one, to point out their really forgettable film. So I hope you enjoyed this list. I've got a few more planned for absurd top 10, so I'll be back soon with them. So I'll see you soon with some more videos. Right, bye for now.